Here are some must-have features that the Walking Dead Empire should include to increase the quality of life for its players and to make the gameplay more streamlined. We're going to start off with the first suggestion that I recommend, and that is quick casting. Now we'll take spider tanks as an example for this. When you want to use a skill in spider tanks, the first thing you have to do is press or click the skill, then move your mouse to where you want the position the skill to be deployed, and then you have to press or click the skill again. What quick casting does is it eliminates all the minor steps and makes it very quick to deploy the skill. So with the example given in spider tanks, it takes like several steps to make the skill be deployed or active. With quick casting, all you have to do is move your mouse over to the position where you want the skill to be placed and then just press or click the skill and it will be deployed straight to your mouse cursor. This saves several steps and makes combat more fluent, and those couple of milliseconds in the combat could be the difference between life or death. You have no idea how many times in spider tanks, if I had that millisecond difference, how many people I would caught in my vortex, whereas the delay of pressing like 3 or 4 times and moving my mouse makes it so that most of the people do escape my vortex. With quick casting, that issue is solved. The next feature that I think the Walking Dead Empire should include is a robust guild permission system. Now, I was Albert Online content creator before I started doing Web3 content focusing on Gala games. And Albert Online is a top-down isometric game just like the Walking Dead Empires. So it's already been through quite a lot of the testing things. So the Walking Dead Empires doesn't have to do all the testing. It can just look at Albion Online, check the things that it's tested, check the things that's worked, what haven't worked, and just implement the things that have. Now, I've been playing Albion Online on and off for 5 years, so some of these suggestions are going to include things that they have done right, one of them being the robust guild rank and permission system. You need to be able to determine who can access your HQ, who can't have access to your HQ, who can access certain chests. You need loot logs for every chest, because sometimes guild members will steal them, and you need to know who to blacklist for any future games that you play. You also need to have the ability to make people who are not in your guild but are your friends have access to your headquarters or certain chests. This all falls under a robust rank and guild system and permission system. Now, they need to perfect this to make sure there's no friction between people when they are playing, and that I don't have to log in to be able to trade my friends certain things or give him access to my crafting stations, because it should automatically be available to him when I'm offline. The next thing that I recommend is less stand time on skills. You need to keep combat fluid and not stagnant. Let it flow, with some skills having minimum stand time. While testing combat in PvP, it feels kind of clunky due to this. This being said, melee skills should have minimal stand time, because if they are fighting somebody at range, the range person already has the distance advantage, so they need the ability to catch up, and stand time kills that potential to catch up. But most skills do have a gap closer, whereas most range skills do have CC. So that balance is already good, and it just needs a bit of fine tuning. But make it so combat isn't stand, shoot, stand, shoot. It should flow, like you should be able to move in combat as well. Make it less clunky and more fluid. Now, I mentioned PvP in the last playtest, and one of the things I did notice is that if you had a staff, the person could leap onto you, and if he hit you, he could chain CC you for a good 5 to 10 seconds without you doing nothing. Imagine if there's 2 to 3 people, you'll be dead right away. So what I propose is diminishing returns on chain CC effects like stuns and snares in the PvP. Now, this doesn't mean diminishing returns on all CC, it just means diminishing returns on the same CC if it is used again and again on the same target. So for example, if you leap using the staff, it has the first skill has 100% duration of the stun. Then if you use it again, it goes down to 80%, and then if you use it a third time, it loses majority of its duration and drops to like 30% efficiency. But you should be able to chain CC other effects. So if you do a stun, then you do a root, then you do a snare, all of those should be at max efficiency. The only issue I have is when you try to chain the same CC, which is a stun after a stun after a stun after a stun, that should be diminishing returns to make sure you can't be stun locked by one move or by one person. The next must-have feature is a hotkey that highlights all lootable items. The art team have done a really good job making it so you can't distinguish between what is lootable and what is an item that's available to pick up. Props to them for that. But playing the game, you need to be able to distinguish what is lootable and what is not lootable. So I suggest you have a hotkey where you can press and it just basically highlights or makes items that are interactable glow. Next, we have something that I think they should change because it was a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and that is to get rid of the rubble and rocks and branches that spawn underneath the bigger resource nodes. Have it check if a higher tier resource is spawned on that location and remove the rubble and branches that are near the higher tier resource. Because every time I go to mine a rock with 20 stone, for example, I always have to pick up a smaller rock. When I go to chop a tree, I always have to pick up a branch before I can chop that tree. Now that's annoying after you've got your tools and you have a steady supply of tools. You don't have to need to pick up the stones and the branches. So I think that would be a good change to the game. Now another quality of life change for the players and a must-have feature is a loot all near you button. In the instance of it being blocked off, sometimes when you kill somebody, they have a lot of loot. It's tedious to keep clicking one item after another. You should be able to press a key and it should loot anything within the vicinity. If your inventory gets full, you can just drag and drop the item, and anything that you drop from your inventory is not automatically picked up within the next 10 seconds, so you can pick up all the other items that you didn't pick up the first time around. Another feature that they need to work on is pathing. Pathing could use a bit of a work. Sometimes you walk all the way around when you're standing next to a container. That just ruins the immersion for the game, because you're standing right next to, say, a trash can. You have to walk all the way around, you go past the fence, past the car, and then you go back to the trash can. You need to make it so pathing is fairly efficient, where if I click on the trash can, it goes straight to the trash can instead of wandering around and messing up the weird pathing. I have been pulled through zombies, I have been pulled through a couple of other things, and that was not a good experience for me. Next is another thing out of Albion Online's book. Currently, when you zone into a zone, your character loads before your game loads. So your character is on the other side, and it can be attacked for a good 5 to 10 seconds before you actually have time to react when your game loads in. So Albion Online also had this issue where the character would load first and then it would die by the time you could respond. Other people would have already killed you. The way that they have countered it, and I think it's a fairly good way of doing it, is when you zone into a new zone, the character gets a 20-second invulnerability bubble. Now, if you move more than 5 meters, the invulnerability bubble disappears automatically, but if you stay still, it will last the whole 20 seconds. This gives you enough chance for the game to catch up to your character, and when you zone in and you have time to assess the situation, when you then move, it will get rid of the invulnerability bubble. Now, another thing I would like to see changed is the talent and skill tree system. I would like to see the talent and skill tree system in the form of a spear grid rather than the current system. Main reason being because currently some talent trees are way better than others, and some characters have 2 really good talent trees, whereas others don't have really good talent trees. For example, there are 2 talent trees that have on the 2nd level of their tree, you can get both 50% damage to melee and to range, whereas others only give you 1. So if you manage to get 2 trees for that character that have both 50% ranged and melee damage, you're automatically dealing more damage than the other person is, and I think that's unfair, because what you'll see then is you only see those characters being played while other characters will be put to the side because they don't have the right skill trees or the right skill sets. Now, I do agree with having 2 unique skills for each character. That should be their signature and special skills, but the general skill set I think you should change, or give the option for the people to pick 2 skill trees that they want to level for that character. The next change is about HQs. When you're in your headquarters area of influence, allow the crafting and the crafting tables to be used in the whole area of influence, as well as access to all the chests. Because you're in your HQ, I don't think you need to go next to the crafting stations or next to a chest to be able to craft items. As long as you're on your area of influence and it is your HQ, you should be able to craft from any location, whatever you need. For example, if you're at the border of your map and you want to build a barricade, I don't want to walk back to the center of my HQ and come back to build. If I'm on the HQ, you should make the quality of life a bit easier and make it so I can just build and pull the resources from any chest in my headquarters. Another feature that I would like to build on top of this is if you're in a guild, you should be able to combine your headquarters influence, so all the benefits that happen on both headquarters rather than just your own headquarter, especially if you designate the second headquarter as a guild or a friend or an alliance or empire. Now, most of these features and ideas I have messaged to Doug so that he has forwarded it to the team, but I thought I'd make this video just to share it with you guys and get your ideas of what you think about these features, what you think about these quality of life changes that I think the game should have. Leave your own quality of life changes in the comment section below, and we can go back and forth to see what would work and what would be good for the game. I do talk a lot in the Gala Games Discord, in the Walking Dead discussion chat, as well as several other games like the Champions Arena chat and the Superior chat, because those are the games I'm looking forward to and I play the most. But yeah, that was pretty much it for this video. As always, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell, because it helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and it's free. See you guys in the next Gala Games video.